Hi Shogi fans, welcome back to my another video. In this video, Nishiyama shows a great example of how Ishida's style should work. If you take a look at the first few moves, so you can see interesting moves. For example, this palm push. If black closes up the diagonal, it is possible for white to go for a third file like this, and then white can exchange pawns. And then the bishop will come out, and basically the white can force black to drop off on the central file to protect the square, and then black can reposition his rook to 8-8, but black is going to lose one move, so this pawn push is really important. It can work effectively if black closes the diagonal, but Nishiyama didn't do that, and she decided to take the advantage and went for quick Ishida opening. It is possible because this pawn hasn't been pushed yet. Actually, this was white's plan as well. So white actually invited black, and here white didn't even exchange bishop. Basically, white doesn't wanna take any action until black achieves Ishida's ideal shape, and then white can develop these generals on the right side, and in order to suppress the rook. That's the main plan. So it is reasonable to push this pawn here. And this is the last chance for white to exchange bishop. But of course, white didn't do that and played silver to 6-3. And instead of the right, she played gold to 5-2. It is great, especially if you like a left Mino or Anagma Castle. It is still possible. And the edge pawn is also important. It leaves the possibility of edge bishop, and nothing will stop her, right? This is interesting because black will be able to develop even further these generals to achieve ideal shape. White could also play silver to 5-4 and go to 6-3 without even closing up the diagonal. But for some reason, white decided to go for a slow game, and that actually gave Nishiyama opportunity to develop her pieces effectively. Now Nishiyama is almost ready to initiate the attack. This was a little bit strange to me because it was like she still wanted to develop her pieces, right? Although Nishiyama was almost ready to attack. So to me, this pawn push was a little bit risky, and it could be even targeted, right? Now Nishiyama's pieces are fully developed, and white also braced for the impact, and Nishiyama started attacking, and this is a good book move. And after the pawn's sacrifice, silver can recapture. Many people would immediately move back with the silver, right? But Nishiyama didn't do that. Actually, she continued on by pawn to 7-4. This is a great move. If white takes the silver, black can promote the pawn. And if silver runs, then promote that pawn to 7-4. It is going to be good for black. And black can use this bishop effectively as well. The sequence is ideal for black. So white wants to avoid this. And here, white actually took this pawn. And silver to 6-4, silver recaptured and bishop recaptures. Many people might wonder, what about silver drop to 7-5, right? And that's actually white did. What actually white did. And Nishiyama took this silver by the bishop. Pawn recaptured and rook recaptures. And for some reason, white didn't defend and decided to open up the line. What if white tried to defend, for example, like this? And then black can make a check because the pawn was overextended. It is a check, right? But white doesn't have a pawn. And let's say white defends like that. And then black can offer rook exchange, or maybe not, since white doesn't have a pawn, simply rook to 6-5 could be more effective. So black should be better, and even if white drops a pawn like this, it's going to be the same thing. Black can make a check, and then rook to 6-5. So anyway, black is going to be fine. So maybe that's why white didn't want to waste her pawn and decided to use her bishop like this. And of course, Nishiyama promoted her pawn to 7-2, not 7-1. It is a good idea to target the gold because she can drop a pawn on 6-5, aiming for pawn promotion. And white defended, but Nishiyama sacrificed the pawn to pry up the line. And that's also a good tactic. And then pawn drop to 6-2. And next promotion and the pawn promoted pawn to 6-2 is obvious, but it is already difficult for white to prevent that. So she kept going, but white is down in material, so it is difficult for white to attack effectively, or it is going to take more moves for white to obtain power. And Nishiyama ignored the pawn push and promoted the pawn. And pawn promotion 3-7 and silver recaptures. It is also good example if king recaptures, the king gets exposed, right? And if knight recaptures, then pawn drop to 3-6 will be powerful. So although the defense loses its balance, recapturing by the silver is correct. Of course, these major pieces are still, it's like still miles away, so this is still safe. And white dropped the pawn to make Nishiyama's defense a little bit more ugly. And she recaptures. And bishop promotion. This is a surprising move because the knight was protected by the dragon. But it makes a sense because if dragon recaptures, white can make a fork. So it is white's trap. And of course Nishiyama knew it. And instead of taking the horse, she dropped the pawn to 3-7. And this pawn drop alone made her defense a lot solid. And there is no threat of horse or bishop drop to 5-5 anymore. And white saved her horse and promoted pawn to 6-2. It is very, very strong. White attacked her silver, but silver drop to 2-5 is correct. If simply silver runs, pawn drop to 3-6 was possible. So Nishiyama wanted to avoid something like this and try to knock out any opportunities for white to fight back. And of course Nishiyama could take this knight anytime she wants, right? And before that happened, white tried to trap the dragon, and dragon recaptures and knight recaptures. And her defenders were significantly reduced, right? Now only 2 generals are protecting the king, and she only has 2 major pieces that are not the best for defense. So Nishiyama was taking control. And like I said, she took the knight and she decided that this was the best timing. And pawn recaptures and knight drop to 3-5. And this is going to be a good attacking base. Now it is looking at these 2 squares. And if silver runs, I don't know, maybe bishop drop to 6-6 or even 6-1 would be possible, or simply Nishiyama dropped bishop to 2-3, and after the silver exchange, black can make a fork, right? That would be the most possible reliable variation. So white decided to drop silver instead. In this case, this gold is still connected to the silver, right? And Nishiyama took the silver and gold recaptured, and silver dropped to 3-5, and silver recaptures, and again white tried to reopen the diagonal, and Nishiyama actually took it, and knight dropped to 4-4. But that's not so great because silver was also attacking the square, right? So Nishiyama took it, and gold recaptures, and silver dropped to 5-2. It is very, very strong because her king is naked. And white made a check, the desperate move, and Nishiyama drops back the bishop in order to take initiative. And instead of accepting the trade, somehow white took the lance, but the horse went in the opposite direction, so her attack was now the slow down. And Nishiyama's horse was more powerful because it is attacking the rook, right? And it can go to 5-1. And Nishiyama actually did it. And since there is no good defense, now white also kept going. But there is a mate actually, and Nishiyama tried to checkmate the king. And here, white resigned. Here, black has no option but to take the gold, and the horse to 1-4. It is great, and no matter where he goes, Nishiyama can drop the silver. King runs, silver promotion, king runs, promoted silver, and just like that. Alright, that's all for this video. I'm going to upload more videos of Nishiyama's game because she plays third file rook and double ranging rook a lot. They're also my favorite. I hope it's been helpful, and as always, thanks for watching and see you all next time. Bye.